Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm so happy to be connected here with you today. And I want to encourage everyone who is connected on the Wisdom app to be a part of the conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about the poison of prosperity. That's right, the poison of prosperity. Of course, if you're listening on the Strategy Rewind podcast and you haven't downloaded the Wisdom app, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a powerful application that connects individuals. It allows you to ask questions. It allows you to get insight, to get, well, wisdom. It actually allows you to curate all these questions and answers, hit the like, go live, just like I'm doing right now. And of course, you can join on the conversation. So make sure you hit that button, join the conversation. We're talking about the poison of prosperity. That's right, the poison of prosperity. Oftentimes, we talk about accomplishing a goal. We talk about having a breakthrough moment. We talk about success. And these are all terms that I think you've heard of and maybe even used. I know I've used these terms. So, for the sake of the conversation, what I want to do is that I want to define some of these words. I want to define what a breakthrough moment is. I want to define what success is. And then I want to define what prosperity is and talk a bit about the poison of prosperity. As you're joining in the room here on the Wisdom app, please feel free to join the conversation. I'm going to define first what the definition of strategy is, because I think that's a good starting point. Several years ago, I did a search, and you can do the same search. I did a Google search to find out the definition of strategy, and I was rather bothered because, well, it was showing me information that had to do with the war zone or the boardroom, and I was very bothered because I felt like it did not resonate with me, and it had zero to do with the everyday person, the mother who's trying to balance motherhood and a career, the single mother who's trying to balance her life, the individual who is newlywed or just divorced or is changing lanes in their career, right? Trying to make it work and still make ends meet and still find time for personal growth. That definition of strategy that had to do with the boardroom or the war zone has nothing to do with the everyday person. And so I began to work out a definition of strategy. And so this is the definition that I have for strategy. Feel free to use it. It is a defined number of steps that help you obtain a breakthrough moment. Strategy, a defined number of steps that helps you obtain a breakthrough moment. What I like about this definition is that in order for you to first determine what the breakthrough moment is going to be, you have to determine how far you are from that breakthrough moment. Another thing about this is that I cannot compare myself to someone else, because if I compare myself to someone else, then I will miss the boat on how many steps I need to take. For example, you may be 5 steps away from your breakthrough moment, and I may be 10 steps away. So the strategy that I use is going to be distinctly different from what you're using. So that's strategy. But in this definition of strategy, we have the word breakthrough. So the question now is, what is the definition of breakthrough? Well, breakthrough is that aha moment. It's that moment where your knowledge and skills of something come together. I do not subscribe to the idea of fake it till you make it. Why? Because if you gain enough knowledge, the idea would be trust the knowledge. Trust the information. Eventually, your skills will measure up. And in a breakthrough moment, it's that moment where your knowledge and your skills about something, they merge and you are able to take it to the next level. That's that breakthrough moment. That's that aha moment. That's that moment where everything clicks and you begin to take it to a new gear and you say, now I know exactly what I have to do. So we've defined strategy. We've defined what a breakthrough moment is. And let's go ahead and define what success is. Again, for the sake of the conversation here, as we're going to talk about the poison of prosperity. Of course, if you're joining into the room here on the Wisdom application, feel free to chime in on the conversation. I'm excited to chat with you here today on this topic. When we talk about success, oftentimes one of the biggest issues is that we take the definition that everyone has of success. For example, success for someone may be making it to the NBA. Success for somebody else may be having financial freedom. Success for somebody else may be getting married. Success for somebody else may be breaking up. Success for everyone looks different. So if I begin to take your definition of success, that is, if for you success is to start a new career, and I say that's a good definition, let me run with that, it may not align with my core values, and thus it'll just breed frustration. It'll breed irritation. Why? Because this goal, this definition of success, while it may look beautiful, it doesn't fit with me. So now we have to find a definition of success. What I want to present to you is a definition of success that is a good way to establish what you want to accomplish. So success is a specific yet evolving endpoint. Right? Success is a specific yet evolving endpoint. And I think this is a good foundation because now you can tailor it to what you want to accomplish. So success is a specific yet evolving endpoint. Let's talk about this for a moment here before we enter into the poison of prosperity. Success is a specific yet evolving endpoint. It's specific to you. As I mentioned, I cannot define success based upon what somebody else wants to accomplish. For somebody else, the definition of success is the house, white picket fence, bunch of kids, and a dog and a cat. That may be their definition of success, not to me. So it has to be specific to me. But it also has to be evolving because you're evolving, you're growing, you're changing. So it can't be something that the definition of success that I had when I was 10 is the same thing when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40, right? When I was a single bachelor to when I got married, a homeowner versus renting. All of those things are going to change what the definition of success is. So it has to be specific, but it has to be evolving, and it has to be a clear end point. I have to aim at something because if I aim at nothing, I'll hit nothing. So I have to aim at something. And when you begin to lay out, okay, what does success look like for me? You have to determine to yourself it has to be specific yet evolving. Why? Because today you may hit success. Why? Because today you may have established that this is what success looks like, but because you're evolving, then you're going to see that that definition evolves. Not that the target moves, but that you hit the target and now you level up, right? You say, I get it. Now I know where to go next. And you level up. And so we've spoken about the definition of strategy, the definition of breakthrough moments, and the definition of success, all to say that when you have in your mind a goal, an objective of what you want to accomplish, you begin to determine the strategy you'll be using in order to have the breakthrough moment, in order to say, I have found success. Right? You establish the mark and you say, I'm going to hit that mark in X amount of time. In order to do it, I have to do this strategy. And when I hit that mark, I will have become successful, right? I will have had prosperity. I will have been prosperous in my desire of accomplishing X, Y, Z. But there is something that happens with prosperity when you accomplish what you're looking to accomplish, when you're seeing an abundance of what you wanted to gain, when you're having a breakthrough moment, an overflow in your relationship, where you're saying everything is clicking in my relationship. Emotionally, you say everything is clicking. You say spiritually, everything is clicking. You say financially, everything is clicking. Man, you're experiencing prosperity. Every life domain, and there are 10 life domains, and you say each one, I'm seeing prosperity. Each one, everything is just clicking, everything is going the way I want it to go. I'm seeing success over and over again. Here is the issue. It's known as the poison of prosperity. And it is that oftentimes when you are consistently achieving your goals, which is a good thing, but when you are consistently achieving your goals, oftentimes individuals take their foot off the gas pedal. Oftentimes they no longer have the same drive and the same determination or the same resilience as they did before. This is the poison of prosperity, where so often we have so much that instead of enjoying in what we have and blessing others, we just become glutton. We fill ourselves up to the point where we can't move. Have you ever had a birthday party or maybe on Thanksgiving or some type of feast where you fill yourself up so much that you sit down and it's like, man, I can't do nothing else. You go into what we call a food coma because you're so stuffed that you can't do anything else. You got to wait for your body to digest and reset and then you can do you ain't got energy not even to think. There are moments where individuals fall in this same problem where they go into this success coma, this prosperity coma, where they are seeing everything click. And what happens is that they fall back, they take their foot off the gas pedal. And what I wanted to dialogue with you here today is specifically on this, that we should become aware of our daily habits. Why? Because it is possible that you intended on accomplishing something and that you hit the target and you stayed celebrating far too long. And we see this oftentimes with champions that begin to relish in their victories, and to the victor goes the spoils, winner winner, chicken dinner, all that good stuff. But what happens is that you have to be ready for the next battle, the next fight. Right? This happened with a boxer several years ago. Andy Ruiz went in. No one thought he was going to win the championship because he didn't look like a champion, but yet he did. He won the championship. And on his first title defense, what happened? He lost the title. Phenomenal boxer, but he had to regain everything. Why? And when they asked him what happened, it was a massively different person from the one who won the championship to the one who defended the boxing championship. And he said, I did not train hard enough. I did not keep with my regimen. I did not stay consistent. This happens as well in team sports, where we see that a team that should be dominating the league, and yet what happens is they have this championship hangover. They go from winning the championship to the confetti dropping to champagne and bubbly everywhere. They go to the parade. They go make it to Disneyland. They have all the success that they have been working for, and yet the next year, you see the numbers dramatically drop, the performance drop dramatically. And if you think that this doesn't happen in our personal lives, then I'm here to tell you it does. It does. I remember when I was in school, one particular time I was in elementary, and my teachers, you know how they do the parent teacher conference? Oh, I remember my mother went to this parent teacher conference. And they said, Miguel, it was in the middle of the school year. They said, Miguel right now is on track to graduate. There's nothing stopping him. He has the grades, he has the attendance, he has the attitude. Everything right now says he will graduate. There's nothing stopping him. And man, I remember that my mom went to the store and I had been asking her for the PlayStation 1. I mean, this was years ago, okay? Years ago. And I said, man, I'd really like that PlayStation. And my mom said, listen, your teacher said that you're on track for graduating. Here's the PlayStation. She showed me the box. She brought it home. And she said, this is yours if you graduate, if you finish the class. And she took it and she put it she put it in the closet, in a very high shelf that she had in a closet. And she said, it's right there. It's yours. All you have to do is keep the track that you're going. So there was a reason for me to keep going the direction I was going. I already had the tools and the skills and everything needed. But for some reason or another, I got so confident in this voice, in this word, that the teacher said, there's nothing that can stop him from graduating. And that's all I stood on. It was like I blocked everything else out, and all I kept hearing was there's nothing stopping him from graduating. And I said to myself, well, if there's nothing stopping me from graduating, I don't got to do nothing else. I totally misread that moment. Days went by, weeks went by, months went by, and it was the last quarter. And the teacher sat me down and said, Miguel, we've got a problem. Somehow your grades have diminished. Your attitude has maybe not, but your grades have, your presentation, your quality of writing, it's all gone downhill. And you ask, well, why did this happen? It's the poison of prosperity, because all I heard was there's nothing that's going to stop him from accomplishing it. I didn't hear the rest where she said, if he keeps doing what he's doing. And this happens in our lives, where oftentimes we set out a goal for ourselves and we're seeing these small victories, and we're seeing that, hey, we're building momentum. Hey, we're building along the way. And people are maybe even acknowledging, hey, you look a little different. What have you been doing? Oh, I've been doing X, Y, Z. And what happens is that we take that small acknowledgement, that small victory, and we turn it into poison, because we listen to it and we say, if they're already seeing the effects, then I don't got to do nothing else. I'm good. And I wanted to converse with you here today, those who are connected live on the Wisdom app. I want to thank you so much for being connected. Hey, join the conversation. Has this happened to you before? Have you ever found yourself where you were so close to the target, and for some reason or another, you took your foot off the gas pedal? Let me know how you rebounded. What did you do to come back? Or was that just the conclusion and you had to take the lesson? If you're listening on the Strategy Rewind podcast, make sure to hit subscribe. Make sure to do all those wonderful things and download the Wisdom app to become part of the conversation. I'm so curious to find out, what did you do? What did you do to bounce back? All right, because oftentimes we face the poison of prosperity, and it seems like, well, that's it. It's all over. There's no coming back. For me, what I had to do in that moment was that I had to go even harder with reference to homework, with reference to reading material, with reference to projects. I had to do extra work, extra projects. I had to stay after school, come in early, every chance I had within the last quarter to be able to bring them up to a passing grade. It's ridiculous, because I was already guaranteed passing if I would have just maintained doing the work, which would have not been so hard. But because I allowed myself to get caught up on this idea that I've got it made, then I took my foot off the gas pedal. And this happens to the highest levels of success. This happens to individuals in every avenue, whether it be in the business world, in the entertainment world, whether it be in the sports world. And this happens to everyday people like you and I, where we find a small amount of success. And what happens is that we ride the wave. I remember when I was 15, 16 years old, I had the chance to do a speaking engagement, and it was my first speaking engagement. I'll share the story with you afterwards here. We've got someone coming in to the group, so excited for what it is that you faced. How are you today, man?
Not much, man. I'm just listening to you and all that, man. I'm loving your energy. So I figure I'll pop up for a minute and stuff and all that. You got that little energy in there that is addictive to others. You know what I mean?
Hey, I appreciate the feedback, Charlie. Let me know, man. Have you ever faced the poison of prosperity?
Me, like, when I was younger, yeah, I had everything going. Going there, money, whatever, whatever. Like, but when I got older, I was like, I took it for granted, and then I let that hold me back. And then I don't, you know what I mean? I figure, oh, it will come back to me, but nah, you got to keep on working at it. It just don't work like that.
Right, right. And that's what we're talking about today, right? That idea that, well, I got it, it's easy access. I don't have to do as much. Talk a little bit about how you bounce back, right? You said you understood you had to, grind every day. Talk a little bit about what's one of the things that you changed in your habit in order to regain or learn from that experience.
Basically, remembered the big kid who I was and what people
Mm.
liked about me when I was younger, like how outgoing I was, how cool I was to come up to and talk to, how easy it was just to sit how we're talking now, just be like, damn, I'm talking to you like we've been brothers for 20 years, like, you know what I mean? And I noticed that I wasn't like that no more. You know what I mean? I was being more distant, but I had things happening to me, like losing loved ones, just like normal people, you know. So I was being distant, like, damn, I'm losing people I love. Why do I want to get close to other people? But at the end of the day, then people don't want you to be sad. They want you to move on, be happy. Because if you moving on, it makes them move on up there too with you. You know, so at the like when you always have that for you, you have to look at something bad to keep you moving. Sometimes, like shit, I could be the one that's in the wheelchair right now instead of doing what I love. So why am I complaining? I might as well just get pushing, get to do it.
That's awesome perspective, Charlie. I love what you said about being that big kid because I think the people that are winning right now are childlike. And we assume that childlike and childish are the same thing. Childish and childlike are not the same thing. Childish is that person that's immature, but childlike is that imagination, right? That perspective, that thinking bigger picture, like what it sounds like you're doing.
Yeah, like I'm trying to paint the bigger picture, but right now I'm getting kind of discouraged from it because I just went on TuneCore, did the friggin' thing what they told me to do, and it's not letting me distribute the thing. It's telling me to upgrade to another plan.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
And because the plan what I got it says the complete distribution option, release unlimited music, advanced features, and whatever. So I'm trying to release this album, like 10 songs on it, but it's telling me I have to go to the $69.99 plan.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. An awesome thing to do is other avenues, such as, releasing your song almost like if it was a podcast, something like on Anchor, where you're able to say, here's the song and here's the story behind the song.
Like release it like a song instead of album. Maybe I can't release albums with this plan. I only can release singles because it let me release a single, but now when I try to do an album, it won't let me. So maybe you have to release them as singles.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there are avenues that are free, something like Anchor, where you could turn your album into the singles. So they would be like the episodes of the podcast. But then you can go ahead and say, here's an episode where I tell you the story behind the lyrics.
Oh, well, that like this is an album. Like I'm trying to release the song, so like I get where you coming through. Go with a skip before the song, and then put it on there like that, and maybe it might let me release it because it's like it's telling me that I can't release multiple tracks. I think so.
Got you.
I might
Got
have
you.
to try your avenue. I might have to try your avenue. Go with a little speech and then the lyrics. I like that idea too. That's something for a little audio kind of album. Yeah, I like. I like
Thanks for
that.
coming on.
Thank you for your idea, and I'll probably pop up again.
Yeah, yeah, Charlie, thank you so much. Yeah, I think the biggest thing when you're talking about, and I think this is applicable for all of us who are content creators, the story matters that you share with people. Always keep this in mind. This is applicable for me, for Charlie, for everyone who's listening, whether it be on the Wisdom app or on the Strategy Rewind podcast. Always keep this in mind as you're creating content. It is the story that connects you with the people, and it is your story that may give voice to the voiceless. So let me go back to this story of when I was 15, 16 years old. as I'm getting ready to wrap up here, I was the first time I was given this opportunity to speak. I've been speaking on stages for 20 years now, and it was the first time. And, there wasn't like a big group, but it was a good environment. It was a good opportunity. And I took that opportunity and spoke, and the feedback. And this is the point where we're talking about the poison of prosperity. The feedback was so much. It was like a tsunami where the people afterwards were coming up to me and greeting me and saying, "Man, that was powerful. I love the anecdotes. I love the application. I loved everything." And so I had not received that before. It was overwhelming joy when I heard the people give me this feedback. Here's what happened though. That was I think that was like on a Tuesday or something like that, right? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I still had people saying that was an amazing talk. That was an amazing moment. And so what happened was when Tuesday came back around, I was still stuck on the adulation, on the praise, on the acknowledgement that people were giving me about that talk. Now, a couple weeks later, wasn't nobody talking about the talk anymore. A couple weeks later, nobody else was talking about that moment except for one problem. I was stuck on that moment. I was stuck on that moment. I was stuck on that prosperity, on that success, on that adulation, on that acknowledgement that I had received. I was stuck on that accomplishment. And listen, it don't matter what kind of vehicle you have. We all know this. The vehicle don't move while you got it on park. You got to put that car in drive and go forward. And you and I, we may have received acknowledgement because of the goals that we've set ahead, or maybe we've seen some changes because of the goals that we've set. But what we have to do is this: we can't allow the poison of prosperity to take us. We can't allow that to actually block us from accomplishing more. And so, what I wanted to do here today is have a conversation with you all here on the Wisdom app. So grateful that Charlie was able to jump on and bring that perspective, right, of keeping that big kid alive. Remember why you started. Keep that energy, keep that impulse. And one of the things he touched on, and it's one of the things that I'm always preaching to the people, is surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision. You may have heard me say that on my podcasts or on socials or here on Wisdom, right? It's surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision. Why? Because in the moment that you're feeling down, they'll pick you up. And in the moment that maybe you're getting a little bit too big headed because of the prosperity you're experiencing, hey, they should check you and say, you're getting too big. Come down a little. Remember that you still got to keep grinding. Remember that you still got to keep working. Remember that you still got to keep pushing forward, right? The top of one mountain is the beginning is the bottom of another, right? And so we can't assume that just because you made it to the top of the mountain, that's the end of it. No, the top of one mountain is the beginning of another. And I want to encourage you all here today that as you are journeying in this year and as you are journeying towards accomplishing your successes and having prosperity, beware of the poison of prosperity. Keep in your focus, keep in your peripheral why you have begun the journey you are embarking on. Keep that in the forefront so that even while you're still having all of these successes and victories, you may keep in mind one thing: that success is a specific yet evolving end point. And if it is evolving, that means that you are evolving. And what this means is that when you hit a checkpoint, it should create a new checkpoint. I'm so grateful for everyone who's been connected here on the Wisdom app. And for those who are connected on the Strategy Rewind podcast, hey, if you're not familiar with the Strategy Rewind podcast, it's a podcast that I produce which focuses on the mindset and strategies necessary for a breakthrough moment. And for those who are listening on the Strategy Rewind podcast and haven't jumped onto the Wisdom app, do so. Be sure to download, be sure to create a profile. It's free, and hit the follow because I'm thinking, I'm predicting that this year is going to be a massive year for this application. And in fact, it's part of one of the episodes that I dropped on the Strategy Rewind podcast where I spoke about my predictions for 2023, where I think the Wisdom app is going to do some amazing things. And I think it's going to be amazing because the people on it are amazing. So I thank you all for being here connected. And remember, surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision.